This video is about Purnanavi Bhupalam, who was a Bollywood actress who enrolled as a student, unfortunately, at Central, and we did end up crossing paths. She was my classmate when I was in the first year, and she seemed okay at first. She was in my friendship group. She would be constantly round at my flat. I didn't think too much of it. And she seemed supportive. She seemed like a good friend at the time. And in the January, I snapped my tendons, and what I thought, as her being very kind, she offered to accompany me to the hospital. And when we get to the hospital, we're only in there about 20 minutes. I'm triaged pretty quickly. She turns around and she says, "Oh, when are we getting out of here? When are we getting out of here?" And I don't think too much of it, but I was like, yeah, we have to wait, because I needed an x-ray and I needed to speak with a doctor and be reviewed by a doctor and things like that. So anyway, I get my x-ray. Then we go down to an urgent care centre, and we're waiting in there not that long, considering it's A&E. And she's like, "When are we going? When are we going?" And I'm just thinking, why are you putting pressure on us to leave? Like, there is physically nothing I can do to speed this process up. Anyway, I just look at her and say, "You can go home if you want, that's fine." She goes, no. And I'm just like, if you're in such a rush, why aren't you going home? And that's when alarm bells start to ring. Anyway, I get called into the room privately. They make her wait outside in the waiting room, which now looking back, I am so grateful for. And anyway, we end up finishing. I think we're in and out within like 2 hours. Like, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't a bad amount of time for like a UK A&E at all. And anyway, she insists on cooking dinner. And to be honest, I'm not keen. I'm actually no, I'd rather just have a takeaway and grab something quick. I'm exhausted. I want to go to bed. And when she's like, no, cook dinner and stuff, and insists on bringing me home. Now, I'm perfectly capable of going home on my own. But when you're just so exhausted and you just feel like you can't fight back. I know I've been in that situation. I just go along with it. So she agrees to go to McDonald's. We pick up some chicken nuggets. We share some food on the train. We go to Sainsbury's. She insists on cooking a dinner with wine and stuff, and I'm like, oh, is that really necessary? And I kind of don't want to do it. And I say that, and she's like, no, I'll cook for you. And she is very strong in a way, almost. And I'm starting to get a bit suspicious, but I think nothing of it. Anyway, I come in. I'm under the impression that my flatmate knows that she's coming over and that she's spoken to him and stuff. Turns out she hasn't. She hasn't done anything of the sort. Anyway, they cook dinner. There's a bit of a weird vibe. Anyway, I have dinner, which I don't really want, but have it as a matter of politeness, and then I go to bed. And I think absolutely nothing of it. Anyway, months later, we were in a class together, and we have to do this like card exercise, which I'm not fully confident with, but no one else in the group wanted to do it. She insisted on being in the role of a participant or client, and me as a therapist, because the other two girls in the group just wanted to witness. So anyway, I reluctantly do it. I'm not fully confident. This is something we've only just learned. Anyway, she starts to talk about family and how she has the perfect relative and things like that. But the thing is, throughout that whole year, that's not what she'd been saying. So I'm just a bit like, what is this? Like, for me, I'm someone that wants to find out the truth. So I want to get down to the bottom of it. So I do question her a little bit, and I question her, in fact, I say a little bit, quite a lot and stuff. And the others at the end of the feedback are like, oh, well, that seems more like a support worker. It doesn't really feel like a therapist, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I think nothing of it. Anyway, I just say, I'm sorry if it came across like that to her. And Easter happens pretty uneventfully. Anyway, we come back to university in the third term, and she turns round and goes, I was violated by Sabra. And I look at her and it clicks. I'm just thinking, what is this? And I look at her and I'm like, violated? On the contrary, you violated me. I realise that when she accompanied me to A&E, it wasn't to support me or be nice. It was to be manipulative and deceitful. She wanted to sleep with my flatmate, who, by the way, ended up KBing her and sending her home in a taxi. So anyway, I just look at her and I'm just like, I'm full of anger and I'm furious at this point, and I go for her because she'd attacked another student previously. If she was one of those people that if she could see someone was vulnerable, she would take advantage of them. Unfortunately, I'm also in the same placement as her, which doesn't help. Anyway, the Monday comes. Anyway, we're going talking about business, blah blah blah. And anyway, we're working with like year 7 as a client group, and they're 11 and 12 years old. It's what it says on the report. Anyway, the tutor's like, well, can you please explain, what year 7 means? What age group is it? And I'm like, 11 and 12. And she butts in and goes, no, they're 13 and 14. Anyway, I look at her and go, actually, in this country, year 7 is 11 and 12. And that's what it says on their files. They are 11 and 12 years old. And she goes, in this country, and she takes it like that, as if to imply that I'm being prejudiced, and I'm not. I'm just stating a fact here. Anyway, that term was hell. It wasn't a particularly nice school we were at either. The staff there were not particularly supportive. If anything, they appeared to sort of resent us even being there. Loads of things went wrong. I was coming up with a lot of the ideas for that group because her and the other student that I was with were just complete stoners, basically, and just stoned all the time. And it was so hard working in that environment, and I wasn't getting the support, the disability support that I needed as well. I was just chronically exhausted. And one day I get so angry in class and I am so upset, I actually walk out and I don't come back to that class. But she thinks it's because I'm unwell. Partly it is because I'm unwell, but also it's because I am so upset over the fact that I'm having to put in all the work and she is doing nothing. She's typing a little bit, but she is coming up with no ideas of her own. And then I ended up taking my break in studies, so I didn't have to see her again. The last time I ever saw her was at that placement day, and then that was it. I've never spoken to her since. She did try and contact me 6 months later to ask me for advice, and she was the last person that I was going to give advice to because I didn't want contact with her, and I made sure I blocked her. And yeah, I never saw her since. I've never had contact with her, but I just think she's vile. And a lot of people will say, why are you shaming her? To be honest, I do think it is in public interest for her to be named and shamed, because she is someone who is in a position of power and almost authority with her fame in India, and I do think she does try and take advantage of people. So yes, I am calling her out for that.